Hello everyone and welcome to Our Ventura. I'm your host Sandra Siepak, and today our guest on the show is Nancy O'Connor. She is the Director of Parks, Recreation and Community Partnerships for the City of Ventura. Thank you for joining us today, Nancy.
Thank you, Sandra.
I want to start off by congratulating you on your new appointment as the Director of Parks, Rec and Community Partnerships here in Ventura.
I appreciate that very much.
And we are going to see some great things from you, I'm sure. Tell us about the Parks and Rec Department and what you do for the people here in Ventura.
Well, we like to think that we do everything for,
Right.
for our community, because we really are kind of an A to Z department. We have programs that touch babies, where we have swim classes out at our Aquatic Center for little children, and then we have senior services that we have out at a number of different areas. We have our senior center down at the on the west side.
Okay.
So we do a lot of different things. We have our parks, we have our special events, we have cultural events, we have golf courses, we have a wide variety of things that we do.
You do. You really cover a lot more than I anticipated. You think parks and recreation, and you don't realize how much goes into that. So we will get into that a little bit later. Tell us the website for people to go to should they have any questions or want to know about each specific department. Like if they wanted to go to the Aquatic Center or they need senior services, where can they go to on your website for that?
Sure. The city's website is www.cityofventura.net.
Okay.
And there's it's a pretty user-friendly website, and you can reach all the departments. And sure enough, there we are, Parks, Recreation, and Community Partnership. And then if you click on that, it'll download a bunch of different boxes that you can click on for pretty much anything that you're looking for.
Right. So people could learn more about different things that they're looking for, and it gives a wide variety. I have been on your website. It is very good. So as the new director, you've got quite a big responsibility there, Nancy.
I do.
I don't know, overseeing all these things, cultural services, special events, parks, urban forestry. I had no idea you did that too. Youth services, senior programs, even volunteers. Where do you start?
I know.
It's a big job.
Where do you start? There's a number of programs that we do that are already in place, and obviously, as the new director, I'm going to obviously take a look at what we do, but at the same time, I'm also going to be very cognizant of what we do right now. We are doing a really good job.
Yes.
We like to be innovative. We always like to be ahead of trends. We have a number of staff members that are very dialed into our national and to our California Parks and Recreation Society, and so we always feel like we're staying ahead of what's going on out there, and sometimes it's dictated by budget. Sometimes we can't do some of the programs, but for example, one of the things that's become very popular in across the nation is lacrosse, and so we've started a kind of a pilot program with lacrosse out at Camino Camino Real Park.
Okay.
And what's amazing is the first time we just had people come out and take a look at it, 300 people showed up.
That's incredible.
We were shocked. We were really shocked. So it's those type of things that while we're going to continue to do the things that we do really, really well, we're also always looking to see, hey, what's next? What needs to be refreshed? What needs to be, maybe given a little bit more love and things like that. So that, just in a nutshell, that for that program, that's where we're kind of going to go ahead.
Right, and I think, many of your youth programs are equally important. There's so many for kids out there, and I think many parents, families come through the Parks and Rec Department to enjoy many of the facets that you have. Let's talk about some of those youth programs, because for people who are now not familiar with all of them, maybe you could just touch on a few of them, really quick.
So we have a bunch of different programs, and when our recreation manager was on here a few months ago, she had talked about some of those programs, and we have youth basketball, we have little leagues, we have softball, we have swimming. Now we have lacrosse.
Yes.
We have tennis. We have sailing and kayaking. Okay. I mean, the list goes on and on. We have summer camps. Right now we're going to have camps that are held during our holiday times.
Oh, nice.
So we do a number of different things to try to keep kids engaged in a variety of different activities. Not everybody wants to play a sport. Right. So we also have art camps. We have dance camps. We have a number of different things that can potentially interest, especially our youth, because just because you don't want to, go out and play a sport doesn't mean that you still don't want to be involved in some sort of a recreation program.
But to keep them active and engaged in something along the way. I mean, let's face it, every kid has different, interests, and not all of them are the same. So just sports programs, I would think, isn't going to cut it. You need to have other programs, which is nice to see, for Ventura.
Absolutely.
And I think parents will be happy to know that you could find almost anything that your kid's going to be interested in.
And when going to that website is really helpful because of the fact that traditionally, most people will think, oh, Parks and Recreation.
Right.
It's just going to be
Exactly.
some sort of a sporting program. But I think they would be really surprised to see the variety of things that we offer. And often what happens too is that people will come to us and say, why don't you offer, and I'm going to give you a good example, pickleball. And pickleball is a sport that usually older people are playing, but it's like tennis, but it's on a much smaller court. And what's amazing is that just by having people come to us and talk to us about it, all we had to do is put some different lines down on our tennis court, and all of a sudden now we're playing pickleball. So you can make that happen. Exactly.
Wow.
And so by coming to the website, seeing what we have to offer, perhaps it might not be there, but if they let us know, then sometimes those are additional programs that we can take a look at.
So do you act on a lot of suggestions that you get from people and families and seniors, that kind of thing?
I will say this, we listen to everybody.
Okay.
And because that's who we serve.
Sure.
And if it's possible to do, we certainly take a look at it. Sometimes there's not a huge need, because we have to look at what can serve the most, because, obviously we have staffing and budget limitations. But we do try to listen to everybody, and we try to see if there's ways that we can offer things. The other thing that I think is interesting is that, there's a number of other providers within the region. And so what we do is we all know what each other is doing. And just because we're not doing something doesn't mean perhaps that the YMCA is doing it or is not doing it. So we try to steer people just to give them the correct information, is if they're looking for a program that we don't offer, maybe somebody else is.
Which brings me to the booklet here.
Our recreation guide.
The recreation guide, which comes out 3 times a year.
Yes, it does.
Here in Ventura. And it's a great guide for everybody to learn more about what the department is all about.
Exactly.
And again, as we mentioned, to find things that you may be interested in, you and your family. It has many, many different entities to it. So it does get mailed out.
It does. It goes to every household in the city of Ventura.
Right.
It goes 3 times a year. And the PDF version is also available on our website, in case perhaps you didn't get it or you tossed it out in the trash or anything like that. But every class that we offer is always in the guide.
Okay.
Arts classes, our tours, our cultural classes, our recreation, all sorts of things are in there, and it's
Which is
really
good
handy.
because throughout the year, let's face it, you may want to have your kids involved in one thing in the spring and maybe something else in the summer.
Exactly.
What about for adults? What are some of the programs you have for some of the adults out there?
Well, adults also have a number of classes that are available in the guide. So we have art classes, we have tours, we have recreation sport leagues where we play softball and soccer out at Camino and out at Community Park and in different areas like that. We now have pickleball, which we hadn't had before.
So that did make it in.
There you go.
Okay.
We have tennis classes.
Okay.
We offer sailing and kayak for adults too.
Wow, that's
so,
great.
Where we find our adults tend to go though more is going to be the cultural classes and the art classes and things like that. We have tours that we take. Sometimes we go to the Getty in LA, and sometimes it's a dinner cruise. It just depends upon what it is. But we have some really interesting travel programs that we do. And of course, we have all of our historic sites. We talk about our golf courses. We give golf lessons and things like that.
Wow.
So it's like I said, from A to Z.
That brings me to talk about something that should be noted to people, which is Measure O. And I'd like you to maybe touch on this a little bit and what it's all about and what people should know about it.
Oh, I relish the opportunity.
Okay.
This is a very exciting thing that has happened to our community because it rarely occurs where people, as our mayor said Monday night, that people will take the time and take the opportunity to tax themselves more.
Okay.
And so we know that there's a lot of expectations on the city to spend the money correctly. And one of the things that we talked about over and over and over is that we are an older city. And our infrastructure needs some TLC. Roads, parks, tree care, fire station, things like that. So one of the things that we have done, because we just didn't decide to put Measure O into place, was that this was a year-long effort or so, is that we put together a needs assessment. We said, where are our gaps? Where are the areas that are failing? And so we have some places that we already know that we want to spend the money on, and I'm just going to speak specifically for our department, not necessarily for the rest of the city.
Okay.
But what we're going to do is we're going to try to get caught up on our tree care. We have 35,000 trees in the city of Ventura. Who knew that we had so many? And we used to do our trimming on a fairly regular basis, like every 3 to 5 years. And due to just staffing levels, budget cuts, now we're more like a 5 to 7 or even a 7 to 9 year trimming cycle. So we're going to try to get caught back up. We have some real failing infrastructure in our parks where our barbecues, our picnic tables, our water fountains, things like that just really need to be replaced, our playgrounds. And so we're going to, really focus a lot of our money and attention on getting those things
Which people would not
to
realize that those things take money. Those resources need to be there to fix those things or to update those things. And you kind of take that for granted. So
well, everything has a useful life,
right?
And one of the things that we've noticed, and this has been a trend nationwide, it's not just here in Ventura, but is that when when we did have the downturn in the economy in 2008 and 2009, and a lot of people did lose their jobs or started changing jobs or doing different things, is that the parks became a place for people to go and use because they're free. And so they're getting so much more love, but that means that they get a lot more use.
Right.
And if you have a picnic table that really only can last 10 years, for example, it needs to be replaced. And some of our stuff has not been replaced in a long time.
Wow.
So that's where our focus is going to be, is on infrastructure and making sure that we can get caught up and make things so much better for our community.
To make things better for people to enjoy
Absolutely.
over the long term, over the next few years to come, which I think is very important.
Very much so.
I think that's something that people, as I mentioned, may not realize takes a lot of money and time and effort.
It does.
What are some of the things you look forward to in the future now? Being at the helm of this department, as I mentioned, is a big responsibility. There's so much that you're responsible for, and you have a large department staff.
We do.
What are some of the things that you hope for the future that will come about now?
I really tie a lot of it to the Measure O because it is an opportunity that not many people in my field get an opportunity to have those kind of resources at hand.
Sure.
It's certainly not just a blank check.
Yeah.
But it is the ability to put in a playground that is safe, that's innovative, that can stretch and grow children in a different way than perhaps it has in the past. It's an opportunity to, repair things and keep things looking clean and safe and green, and we've just I can't even think of how often over the years of my career that I've said is that if we only had the money, we could. And now we actually have that opportunity. So we're going to be looking at programs. Are we offering the right programs? And now we actually have the money to say, well, maybe we want to modify that program or do something different. And so I think it's just going to give us an opportunity to kind of take a breath and say, wow, now we can kind of chart our own course, and we can listen to the residents, because we do have people that will come in and they'll say, gosh, why can't you do, and fill in the blank, and if we had the money, maybe we could, and now maybe we can, so it'll be fun.
That's great. I think, as the new director, there's a lot that you will be taking care of, and I think people will certainly enjoy it. Let's give the website one more time so people can...
www.cityofventura.net.
Good. Well, Nancy, thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing great things happen with Parks and Rec.
Thanks, Sandra.
We're counting on you.
I know you are. I know you are.
And it's a great department, and I know people here in Ventura certainly do enjoy it, so there's many more good things to come with you at the helm.
Thank you.
Good,
Appreciate
thanks.
it.
And thank all of you for joining us today on Our Ventura. I'm Sandra Siepak. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.